Hi everybody and welcome to the 10th one of our art tutorials. Can't believe we're already at 10. So I'm Victoria Alderson and welcome to my studio, and I'm working in collaboration with Keighley Healthy Living. And today we're going to be doing a little doggy. A lot of people have asked me help with how to do fur, so we're going to do a dog, and it's my dog Bo, who is rather villainous. I'm sure you've heard him on some of the tutorials before. So we'll get started and we'll see if Bo makes an appearance later on. But here we are. So I have already, I've got a picture of Bo and I've already drawn him out. The picture, the printout I've got is very poor, so I'm using my daughter's phone to have a better idea of the colours of Bo. Although I could actually probably ask him to come and sit for me if he wasn't such a bad dog, but he is. Okay, so let's get started. So we're just going to start with eyes actually. So when I'm working, I spend a lot of time on eyes, as you all probably know. So let's start. Whoops! I'm starting with a size 2 brush. And I am working in Payne's Grey. So I'm just going to start by doing the outline of his eye. And then we will get lots of expression in his eye. We can tweak around with it a lot. But if we just start with the absolute bones of his eyes, that doesn't sound very nice, does it, bones of eyes? But you know what I mean. So we've got this outer bit, haven't we? This outer black bit. So hopefully, obviously, you all probably don't want to paint my dog, but you will, I'm sure there's lots of doggies that you could paint, your own dogs or friends' dogs, and hopefully this will give you an idea of how to do it. So his eyes have got quite a lot of fluid in them, which is glistening away. Can you just come in closer to that, Lou, so we can see? So I've just indicated that black line around the top of the fluid, but then I'm just going to do another line underneath that, and I'm just going to leave little bits of white. So it's incredibly detailed work initially. No, your phone's gone off, Lou. Thank you, Tony. So you're managing to pick that up, do you think, Lou?
Yeah, a bit.
So can we just go in close there just to see how these initial little bits of fluid, I've just left them white. So I've done the black outline and I've left those little white bits. So then there's the actual lid. So there's fluid laying on his lens and then there's the actual lid. So we're going to go in and do that now. I'm just going to leave that white. And like I always say, we can smudge it in and change it later. But as long as we've got the idea of it to begin with. There he is, the star of the show. And then here, he's going to do this outer lip now, leaving that white gap. Like that. And as long as you're using, some of that Payne's Grey I've used quite a strong pigment, but then this outer lid I've done it quite light, so you'll be able to tickle around with that and change it. So just here, where it's holding his eye in, it's very, very detailed work. Honestly, you don't have to be so detailed with this. It's just my style that I tend to do. Detailed eyes and everything else is a lot softer. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do with that eye, and I'm going to move on to doing the other eye. And then I'll move back to the first eye again. So because there's so much work to do in this painting, we will do this tutorial probably over a couple of weeks. And that should hopefully give you enough time to choose a doggy that you'd like to paint and ask any questions you've got. But hopefully if you've seen how to do a really, really hairy doggy, then short-haired dogs should be an absolute breeze. So here on this picture, can you see how I've got the glistening white? So I'm going to put the black on, the Payne's grey, and then I'm leaving that white bit there. Coming in, then there's going to be some more white. And then here, I mean, it's ever so dark in this corner of the eye, and we will add all of this depth of colour later, but we're just trying to make it easy, just get the shape of it initially. Okay, like that. And then, you know, we can see that inner lid, we can see a lot more of that inner lid, so I'm just going to widen that, and then here. Again, just leaving that bit lighter there, and I'm just going to come down like that to there. So it does look a bit peculiar at the moment, but it won't do when we smudge it all in. Okay, so next I'm just going to get some more Payne's grey. So I'm just using the lightest bit of colour, not very much water on my brush, not very much pigment. I'm just trying to be in as controlled a position as possible. And now I'm going to put these lovely sparkles in Beau's eyes. When I took the photograph of Beau, I just made sure he was facing the light, and I've got a lovely window in here. So a little bit of that window is reflected in his eyes, which is really lovely. So we're going to try and fit that, get that. So if you could try and get a photograph of your dog, it's much easier if you can take the photograph and get as much light on that face as possible. I mean, I struggle often when I'm doing portraits for people because sometimes, sadly, some of the pets have died. So, you know, I only have a few photos to paint from, and sometimes the quality is not very good. So I have to, sometimes the eyes are just completely, one side of the face can be completely black. So I just have to sort of make that up, which is quite a challenge. There. Oh. Scheduled scan it's doing on your phone, Lou. So now I'm filling in the pupil of Beau's eye. And I think doggies don't really have a very clearly shaped pupil. But I mean, they're mostly incredibly dark. If you can't see it clearly, even in the light, then I wouldn't make it up. Just literally paint what you can see. It's only when you can't really see it very well that you have to sort of start improvising a bit. But we're starting to get a little bit of expression there. So
You just need to click back when it does.
how do I?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just adding a little bit more depth of colour in his eye. Right, we're going to do the other eye now. I'm just going to increase that. Oh, that's good. A bit better. I can see that a bit better now. Okay, so we've got just this light coming here. So I'm just painting around the light. And there's a little bit of light there. And his pupil is about here. We were holding chicken for him, weren't we, Lou?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he's focused on. Sitting very still in the hope of getting some chicken. But you can see, because we've taken a photo with so much light on his face, how clearly we can see his eye. Just increasing that depth of colour there now. Okay. The problem is when you zoom in as well, just to be really careful, because then you can suddenly you can make things bigger than they actually are. So just be aware of zooming in. Just Remember, I've zoomed in, don't go too large with those paint marks. Okay, so I'm just darkening at this outer edge of his eye here as well. Right, now we're going to go in with the brown. So he's got really dark brown eyes, so I'm just going to go in with a burnt umber for his eyes. How many minutes have we done, darling?
10.
10 minutes, okay. So I'm just going to pop this burnt umber in, and you can see how many colours are in the eye, how many different shades of brown are in there. So we'll just put them on initially, and then we can start lifting out and building up some of those colours. There's even the reflection of the flooring we've got in here in his eyes, isn't there?
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not going that far. Yeah. Okay, and then the other eye. There, and then that is the moisture just sitting on his eye. Okay. There. Okay, so we can see how much darker it is at the sides of his eyes. So I'm just going to get a little bit more of my burnt umber, and I'm just going to add some more tone. I don't want to add too much Payne's grey. I will probably end up adding some more, but just filling in now. It's just such delicate work, like that. Okay, and then cleaning off. Okay, so now I'm just going to take my dry brush and I'm just going to lift out a little bit this area here, just to try and get this sphere, this lighter bit. And it makes such a huge difference. Just lifting out a little bit of brown. There, suddenly his eye looks a lot more round, but we just need to work a little bit more on the Payne's grey. So I'm just going to add that. And then up and around here, and then what I'm going to do is get some more brown, some more burnt umber for the top of his lid to start increasing that. You can see he's got a bit of a twinkle in his eye already, hasn't he? And then I'm just going to get a little bit more Payne's grey. You see how much work is involved in doing the smallest eye. Just going to get a little bit more Payne's grey in that corner, which, because the brown is still wet, it should just bleed into it a little bit, just a little bit into that corner too. And then I'm just going to start filling in this bit now. So we've just got tiny little bits of light being left in there. It's very dark in there. Okay, so his eye's starting to feel a little bit more inset now, isn't it? And let's do the other eye, get some of the depth. There's a lot of depth of colour down around there, which we have put in already. And then it's sort of a glassy look there. So I'm just going to lift a little bit of that out. So just a moist brush, just lifting a bit out there, like that. Just to get that little bit of a glassy look. And I'm just going to pop a little bit more Payne's grey for this pupil. There. Okay, so now I'm just going to start filling out the rest of the eye, getting some of this fur on. So I'm going to go in with some brown, some burnt umber, because it's very, very dark. And we're just going to come out here from this. And I'm just going to come out in hairs. I know it's so detailed, but hopefully we'll be able to be a bit looser with the rest of it. So right up against that Payne's grey, I'm coming out with this burnt umber. And then he's got this lovely flick, like he's got some makeup on, doesn't he? And then up here, just coming out in this direction. Just a little bit around there, just to bleed a little bit of that Payne's grey out. Okay, let's start doing some more with his eye now. So we've left this light a bit. I'm just going to go with a bit of blue. I just feel that his eyeliner that he's got on is quite blue in colour. And then we can just add a little bit of indigo. Just a little bit above that Payne's grey. There we are. And then here. And I'm still going to maintain that as white there. And I'm just going to increase that black. There's quite a few lines going on. Hi, I'm just doing. It's okay. Okay, and I'm just going to soften up this, so I'm not putting any extra colour on, I'm just softening this white because it's too white, so I'm just softening that up like that and just doing it in little lines, in control. So it stops about there, so I need to fill that in, so I need some bit more Payne's grey. There. And that starts about there. Okay. Right, now I'm just going to start increasing some of this lid because we've got very, very dark lid and mine's very weak at the moment. So I'm just going to pop a little bit more burnt umber in. Just increasing the shading now. So leaving some of that lighter colour that I'd done earlier. And this is going to give him the expression that we want. I want this to feel like the inner lid. As you can sort of see, he's got very thick lids actually. I'm just going to bleed this down. I can see that just needs bleeding down a bit. Much less there, so it's much thicker here. So you can see the depth.
We're in 20 minutes.
2 minutes, okay. That's starting to come now. So I'm going to go with a bit of Payne's grey just to really feel this needs to be a lot darker. So over the top of my burnt umber. And just leaving flashes of that burnt umber through. There, starting to get his little eye. Do you recognise Bo? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I feel like that light that I've left in his eye is too big. So I'm just going to decrease that. Better to leave things too big and decrease them. See, just decreasing that light in his eye looks so much better, doesn't it? Than to, try and lift it out later. It's just making life so much harder work. Okay. There we are. Right, we'll just quickly do a little bit of the second eye, and then that'll be the tutorial and eyes over. Okay, so there's very little to do on this eye. Almost finished this eye actually, so it's very, very dark. We can see into the inner lid here, so I'm just popping that in there. And then down here. So all dogs more or less have the same thing going on around their eyes, this black eyeliner. Okay, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of indigo to this eye too. I'm going to leave some of it white, but I'm just going to add just a little bit more indigo. There we are. Okay, and I'm just going to soften that out there. There we are. Okay, so that's our tutorial on eyes. Do you want to just have a little bit of a close-up, Lou, so we can see where we've got to with both the eyes? Okay, and we will return and do the next part, his nose and mouth, next time. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.